Good morning everybody, it's Peter here. Miserable day again, not raining though. Managed to get the boys out luckily so we weren't too muddy. Had a miserable day yesterday in the rain, slipping and sliding, but there we go. Had a bit of problems with the car yesterday, put the key in the lock and I got a red light come up and it's a car with a key in it. So I got the book out, sat in the car with the book and of course couldn't find the right page, so in the end I came back in and rang the garage and he said, oh, it's obviously the car's not recognising the key. So I said, well, it starts up and then it cuts out, starts up and cuts out. And he said, well, yeah, that's the mechanism that, if you're trying to put a wrong key in. So I said, but I've just fiddled about again and it's running. So he said, have you got a spare key? So I said, yeah. He said, well, try a spare key. So, okay, right. So I went out and got the other key and it started, so I got it out the garage and ran it, and so I drove down to, a couple of miles down the road to my walk, and that was fine. Came back and that was fine, but then on the way back the red light came up. I thought, oh, hoping it wouldn't cut out, but it was fine, so that was it. So I thought, well, I'll have to take it down to the garage next week and see whether they can sort it out. So got the car out this morning to do the same, wouldn't start. Then it did start, then it cut out, then it did start and it stayed starting. I thought, no, I don't want to break down. So I thought, well, I'll drive it out the garage, see what happens. Change the key, use the other one and drove it out the garage, it was fine. So I thought, right, let's just run it down the road. So that was fine. But sort of 3/4 of the way there, the red light came up again. And I thought, I hope it's just not going to cut out in the middle of the road. But it didn't, so I parked up and we did our walk. But I parked the car so that we were sort of on a little hill, so if I had to, I could sort of perhaps jump it. So, I don't know whether that would have worked, I don't know. So I got in the car and it started up, so I thought, well, I'm not going to go out onto the main road. I'll drive along some of the side roads. If it breaks down, I'm on a side road. I knew I've got to go on the main road eventually, but managed to get home, and that was it. So I've taken the key out, and because you can put the key in both ways, so I've marked the way it seems to be working. So I'm supposed to be going up to collect some shopping and have some lunch with the family today. So shall I go or shan't I? I've got a feeling that perhaps the lock is a new lock, because my car's very old. It's 20 years old, but a couple of years ago I had to have a new lock on it because the Mazdas were all recalled because of a lock mechanism possibly wrong. Well, it wouldn't have applied to my car that far back, but we've got to have it done. So it was done for free. So the lock, it shouldn't be the lock. So I'm wondering if the keys are wearing. But one of the keys is a new key, newish key. I had to have another key cut and chipped. Well, we'll see how it goes. I just don't understand what it is. So that's the key. That's the car problem. That was yesterday. What happened yesterday? Was it Friday morning? It was quite a nice, or in the afternoon. I think it was when I came back in the afternoon from the walk. It was sunny afternoon, so I had about 3/4 an hour, 40 minutes in the garden, clearing out the pots, weeding some of the pots and getting some of the dead leaves off, the strawberries, and I filled the big bucket full of debris. So I must look out tonight when I'm out on my walk whether the the brown bins are out, and if so, I'll get rid of some of that in Midge's bin. So that was quite good. Made the pots look a little bit nicer. They're getting tatty, aren't they? with all the brown broken down bits and pieces. So I did a lot of weeding in them, so that was good. I had an Amazon call Friday. Was it? I don't know. Lose track of the days, which absolutely, it must have been Friday because I rang Rachel at work. It just sort of put me on my guard. Didn't sound like the normal Amazon call. It was obviously an automated one, to say that my Amazon iPhone 7 was on its way, and that they had deducted £700 and something out of my bank account. And I thought, what? So I came rushing in and looked at my online account, and nothing been taken out at that moment. But I just thought, have they got hold of my card or something? So I rang Rachel in a panic, and she says, all right, Mum, it's okay, they know you have an Amazon account because I sell stuff on Amazon. She said, most people in the world have an Amazon account because they buy stuff on Amazon. So she said, they just target people, and she said a lot of people would panic about it and ring them up and say, I haven't ordered it. And I said, well, and give them out their bank details. I said, I wouldn't do that. No, she said, you wouldn't, but somebody else would quite easily. She said, you see how it had triggered you in a panic? So I said, yeah, okay, fine, right, okay, I understand, yeah. I said, it just seemed not the usual calls. So I said, I always look at my display on my home phone, because I don't use the home phone and I don't answer the phone, but because I'm waiting for the vaccination call, I'm answering all the calls. So yeah, that panicked me for a bit. And then Friday night, I woke up in the night and I thought, oh, a bit hot and bothered. I thought, oh dear, coming down with something, a bit of a sniffle. So I got up yesterday and took lots of paracetamol. Well, paracetamol every 4 hours. One day I was sort of bordering on a cold because I was sort of feeling sniffly and a bit temperature. If I'd had the vaccination, I'd have said it was that, but I haven't had the vaccination. A lot of my friends up in Crawley, well, they've all, half a dozen of the girls and their husbands, they've all had the vaccination. And I think 2 or 3 of them are not very good today with it. So, oh dear. But I was talking to another girlfriend, the girl I went to Australia with the other day. She's the same age as me, and she lives down on the coast. I said, have you had the vaccine? No, she said, I haven't had it yet. So I thought, oh, at least I'm not the only one in the world around here that hasn't had it. I met a couple when I was out walking yesterday afternoon, and I lent them a jigsaw a couple of weeks ago. And then last week I found it on the doorstep. And she said, oh, I'm glad we've seen you. She's been calling in a couple of times as we've gone by on our walk to get another jigsaw. So I said, oh, well, I'm just going home. So she said, well, on our way back, we'll call round. So I said, well, I'll have them all laid out for you and you can choose one and a bag. So she said, oh, that'll be lovely, thank you. So she was saying that she said, it might take a bit longer this time. She said, I've got some sewing out. I said, oh, what are you saying? Oh, she said, I'm doing a bedspread. Patchwork bedspread. I said, oh, how lovely. Oh, she said, I quite often do them. She said, I've got one out to do, started one or something. I said, oh, that's fine. I said, I'm not in a hurry for them. Done them. So she said, well, it's nice. I put it out on the table, and she said, in the dining room, and if I fancy a change, we can go in there, and Stuart can go in and perhaps do a bit. So I said, well, yeah, that's fine. So that made me think about my patchwork bedspread I started making 40 odd years ago. It could be up to 50 years ago. It was when I worked in Croydon in the Interior Design Centre, and we used to get pattern books for curtains. And when they were obsolete, I would take them home, and I had all these big pieces of silk patterns, the beautiful colours. And I started making a patchwork quilt in squares of all these pieces of silk. And I started it and graduated the colours out. And it has moved. How many times have I moved in the last 50 years? It has moved with me every time. And the box, a big box of silk cutouts, pieces, mostly pieces, I've already cut them out in this box. In fact, last year I had actually loads of lengths of silk pieces that have come out of sort of swatches, big swatch boxes, big pieces. I got rid of those last year. I thought, these move with me, and I haven't done anything with them, so I gave them to the charity shop, these lovely pieces of silk. But I've kept all the cut-out bits. So I thought, perhaps I'll get that down. I thought, I'm a year too late. I should have done it at the beginning of lockdown, because I could have, kind of perhaps progressed quite a bit by now. But the thing is, I've got to get it out and lay it out. That's the thing. I've got to get it on, with 8 feet rushing around here, and getting on top of it. I haven't got a big enough table to lay it on. In the days I started it, I had a huge table it just used to lay on. That was the days I could make curtains on this huge table. So I did think when I next go up in the attic, I'll get it down perhaps, and I might have a look. See that there's no mice have been in there. I better check, because if I've been keeping it all these years and it's been damaged, then I should be so cross. But well, I said, I don't know whether I want to finish it. I just know. So she said, well, just bind the edges as it is. And she said, just use it as a throw or something. I said, I don't know. I will get it down and have some thoughts about it. So, but it means, I can't even remember whether I did it by machine, each square, or whether I did it by hand. I can't remember, did I sew every box square by machine, and then on the right side I did it by hand over the top? I have no idea. It's been so long since I've done it, so that'll be interesting to get out. So that's the project coming up, probably next week when I go up in the attic to get that down. That's about it today. I've had a little girl obviously at the weekend. Possibly speak to her tomorrow. It's really miserable. I feel really sort of not with it today. Can't motivate myself. I just, there's washing machine full of washing that I need to do. And I sort of think, can I be bothered? Shall I hoover? No, I'll wait until tomorrow. It's a fag just getting the washing up done. Shouldn't feel like that, but just can't lift my energy today. So hopefully, as I say, I'll get up to Rachel and I hope don't break down. I'm going to ring her in a minute and say, what does she think, and if I go, to be aware that you might have to come and rescue me. I mean, the problem is if I do break down and I get breakdown people out, they can't do much, because if it's, the key or the lock, they can't do anything, and because the garages are not going to be open. So, and even if they do find it's anything to do with the key, they've got to order one, and, Mazda, it's abroad, isn't it? Will they be able to get me a new key? Well, luckily we're not going anywhere much. That means, we're not popping out here, there and everywhere and working and going places. So if the car's out of action, because I remember I had to have a new panel at the back for the lights, and I think that took 5 or 6 weeks to come. You see, because it's got to come in from abroad. So if we've got all this problem of stuff coming in, can you imagine a little key? Mind you, they could post that, can't they? It's not as though it's coming by ship. I'm sort of panicking about shipping. No, they won't be shipping that. No, don't panic. If it's a little key, it can come in the post. So we'll wait and see. Oh, we've got grumbling dogs. Is that a pigeon out there? What is it? Oh, don't know. Okay, everybody. Hope you all have a good day. Hope we have a cheery face, sunshine. Perhaps tomorrow, please. Yes, cheer us all up. Okay, goodbye, everybody.